And welcome to the latest edition of the 941 Sports Zone, episode number 10. I'm Rich Spitz-Pedalari. John Vandy Believer Masoni is in the house. I think a lot of people are beginning to believe in Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Number 9 in the country.
That's insane. That's insane. They're going to play their second straight game as a top 10 team. And yet, you watched that game the other day. They looked the part.
Yes. I totally agree. They looked every bit of it. They're more physical than Missouri. I mean, just a really, really well-built football team. How far they can go, you never know. Momentum can mean a lot in these situations.
No question about it. The 941 Sports Zone brought to you, as always, by our good friends at Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, locally owned and nationally backed, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses throughout the Gulf Coast. Give them a shout at 941-251-4257, 941-251-4257. I'm guessing the weather down there is getting to be more and more conducive of doing roofing and some other outdoor activities now that it's starting to get cooler. Yeah.
Listen, it's a little warm today comparably, but come Thursday, we're wintertime down here, whatever we call wintertime. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So 50.
Dare I say the 50s, maybe even 50s, some high 40s inland.
I can't wait to go Saturday, Florida, Georgia. I'm looking so forward to it. With a nice cool day. Ooh, that'll be fun. In the 40s in the morning up there. So we'll see how that plays out.
Well, that's, Jacksonville. I always tease my brother who lives up there. That's not actually in Florida.
That's right. If you say South Georgia to a real Jacksonville person, they want to rip your face off.
Yeah, Florida. We call it Florida. All right, high school football. We had some district titles handed out, or won, I should say. They're not handed out. They're won. Start off with our Venice Indians, who captured their 12th district title under Coach John Peacock. Class 7A district champs, 51-14 over Sarasota. I know there wasn't a live feed, but certainly, it started early, and before you know it, it was 21-0, and that game was pretty much over, wasn't it, John?
Yes, and Sarasota, they've got pieces, Rich. They've got a good quarterback, young quarterback, got some skill players.
You've been high on them all year. You've been high on them all year.
I just think that they're doing some things really right, and I think I'm always interested to see the third year for any program and see where they're at. I think they're going to be. And they've won some games I didn't think they were going to, and then they lost a few I was a little surprised by. So that's a getting to know it kind of scenario. But Venice was just a lot for them to handle, both on the offensive and defensive line, and just like I said, just a tough matchup for them. But they're on the up. There's no doubt about it. And Venice wins the district championship, and you don't take them for granted, because you look backwards, you say, my goodness, there's a lot to be said about district championships. 12 for Coach Peacock now, and so looking forward to moving forward in the playoffs, like a lot of other teams in the area are as well.
That's right. So Venice wins. Also, give big congratulations to Palmetto. They won the 6A11 title, which to me is one of the toughest districts, not only around here, but maybe in the state. They could have, if one of the teams slips in the back door, they could have 4 teams out of the 8 in the region, but certainly it looks like they're going to have 3. They beat Leonard 31-6 out of Ruskin to win the district title. They outscored their opponents in district games, something ridiculous like 181-27. So They certainly were worthy district champs in a very tough district.
No doubt about it. And looking forward to see how they progress moving forward, because they think they really put together quite an offensive team. And I think that Coach Saunders, his pedigree is from Braden River, is that he knows how to coach in these big games. So I think he'll provide them with a lot of familiarity to the situation. So that'll be really good for him. And then, of course, I know you're going to mention this as well, but we've been looking at Port Charlotte all year and thinking how good they played. And man, they finally got that Naples when a monkey off their back, or whatever you want to call it, because they eked out a win the other night to win their district championship as well.
Yes, they did. Actually the 4th straight for Port Charlotte, but the second time they beat Naples in the regular season, and this one was a doozy. 28-7 early in the 4th quarter. Port Charlotte looked like they were going to just roll the victory. Naples storms back. They score a touchdown with 4 seconds left, decide to go for the win instead of overtime, and maybe a little memory of a game back in Venice in late August, early September. Big thanks to Chuck Bolero of the Sun newspapers. He strings for them. He put it online. That 2-point conversion play had zero chance. There were 3 guys in the backfield before the quarterback took 2 steps back. They certainly brought the house, and it got them the win, 28-27. Second 1-point win in district play this year.
Yeah, and like I said, it seems like whenever Port Charlotte, or actually say not just Port Charlotte, whenever any Naples game, you're looking at a very, very close score. Style of play has a lot to do with it. They run the veer, and they're definitely the team that's going to keep it very close, the score close. And it's always amazing me for how they can come from behind. It's so fast.
Right.
I know it was 28-7 at some point in time in the fourth quarter, and then boom, they just explode for 3 touchdowns, and you're like, how did that happen? When they just kind of trudge along. But that's that veer offense. You just keep on looking for a spot, and then finally you blow it open. And they always have great athletes at the running back position. So you got to be careful of them. And they'll do well in the playoffs. They've been there before. They know what they're going to do.
Manatee was the 4th team to win a district Class 5A District 9 title. They blew out Braden River 55-20. So they have a losing record at 4-5, and yet the competition they played both in and out of state, very tough. It'll be interesting to see how they perform in the playoffs.
Absolutely. And I'll say they probably deserve to be there, but it's going to be interesting to see this Friday night when they play Riverview in a non-district game and a rivalry game. It's going to, both teams have something. It's going to, while it doesn't matter much to either school, I don't think in regards to what their seedings or whatever, that could be wrong. It's going to mean a lot to momentum moving forward, because Manatee can test themselves against Riverview, and they're 2 good teams, and it's going to be very, very intriguing to see how that game turns out, because Riverview's had a nice run this year. They've won only lost to Venice. Manatee has lost some games to some good schools, and they're sort of trying to find their way going into the playoffs. This game could be a signification as to maybe which team has the better chance moving forward.
And finally, Cardinal Mooney won their district. They whitewashed Tarpon Springs 48-0. No surprise there. They end up the regular. Well, they're going to play one more game, but they're currently 8-1. Certainly have been playing really good football. They played St. Thomas Aquinas very well in the kickoff classic, and they've just carried that in the regular season. Their only loss was to Cherry Creek out of Colorado, a 3-point game, and Cherry Creek is a national power. Yeah,
no doubt about it. And all the schools right now, as far as the 941 area code, it's really interesting to see how well they're doing. Booker's is going to go. It should put a big mark on the playoffs this year. You mentioned Cardinal Mooney. You mentioned Venice. Mentioned Port Charlotte. We mentioned Manatee, all district champions. But Riverview, Parish Community, they're like just underneath that. They're the teams that have shown up very well. Lost 1 game in the district, and it's kind of put them on the downside, the bottom side of the region. But nonetheless, very good football teams. I mean, can easily be the district champions at any point in time. And then whoever else might make it into the playoffs, it's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out. But I think it's going to be well represented from our area.
Parish Community, you mentioned, beat Lakewood Ranch 29-10. That 6A Region 3, those standings, Palmetto's 1. Going into last week, Parish Community's 2. No reason to think they're going anywhere. And Leonard was 4. Maybe they dropped to 5, but
yeah, no, you're right. You're
really good teams from one district in the top 5 in their region.
Yep, I know, and you see it a lot. A good district. That and days gone by, this is the one part that I like about the system right now. In days gone by, that 3rd team didn't have any playoff chances. It was first and second in the district, and that was it. Now a good team that plays in a very good district, it's a good team, gets a chance to prove themselves. And I'll tell you that I predict at some point in time that, you always say about a wild card team win a Super Bowl or whatever it may be, but I can see a team from the district that comes in 3rd winning the region is something I foresee in the future, because good teams will lose in certain situations. Weather can affect it, injuries can affect it, you name it, and then they still get a chance to play. I think it's very fair, and I like the way that's put together.
You mentioned Booker. They had no problem with Boca Ciega, 47-0. Just looking at a couple of other games. Riverview down Lehigh, 49-14. Getting ready, I think that game, you mentioned the Riverview Manatee game. That's bigger for Riverview, because Manatee, they're going to get a home playoff game no matter what happens on Friday night, whereas Riverview can improve their playoff positioning with a win.
It's solid, and there's no doubt about it. So I think you're absolutely right on that. But again, I know Manatee, they're going to come at it and say,
Yes.
hey, this is everybody's been watching us and we're losing games here and there, but we know how good we are. Let's put a stamp on this thing, because right now, if you look at some of the rankings locally, it's Cardinal Mooney, it's Venice, it's Booker, it's Riverview. Okay, you see those kind of, and that's sort of that situation. And I think that Manatee would love nothing more than to get a nice springboard into the playoff with a big win over Riverview.
Lemon Bay had a chance for a tri-championship, although I don't think they would have made the playoffs. They were too far behind in the points, but they lost to Cypress Lake 41-21. So Cypress Lake wins that district. Couple of interesting games in addition to the ones we mentioned. Lemon Bay and Northport playing for the Golden Hammer for the 11th time. Lemon Bay won the first 9, and Northport won last year.
Right.
And a very interesting game. Port Charlotte goes to undefeated Zephyr Hills on Friday night. Talk about a game, 8-1 versus 9-0. You can really improve your positioning with a win there.
Absolutely, and I think with the last week of the regular season and the week off before the playoffs start, I think Port Charlotte can really solidify themselves not only to the area but to themselves, putting a W up on that game and going into the playoffs with a lot of momentum with the Naples win, and then followed that up by beating an undefeated team in Zephyr Hills.
Yeah, they're going to have to beat Naples in the playoffs. I don't think there's any
any
doubt about that. They beat them in the regular season last year, but lost in the playoff game at home, and they're going to get them at home again. But they're going to need to finish the deal in order to get to the state semifinal.
But here's the deal, Rich. You know what you're going to get. So Naples is not coming in. You know what you're going to get. So Port Charlotte should be ready this year, and I think they've got skill position guys that I haven't seen before, or at least I haven't seen in the last 2 years. They've got some position players that are really, really high level, and I think that's going to help them very much this year.
All right, we'll do a complete wrap up of the high school football season coming up next week. We'll have a very special guest too, won't we?
Xavier from ABC7 is going to be here with us to go over all the what happened this season, kind of recap the season, and then preview the playoffs moving forward. And I think it'll be a good indication as to what we all think moving forward. I know a lot of us have a lot of positive thoughts about this area that this time of the year. I think we're seeing state semifinalists and finalists all over from this area be very well represented. I think Xavier will have some insight into how that's going to happen.
All right, and there's your look at high school for this week. The 941 Sports Zone, again, presented by the good folks at Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. 941-251-4257 is the number. Make a call, get that roof repaired, get you ready for the wintertime. You can have some decent weather in the wintertime. You don't want your roof failing on you. So 941-251-4257. Well, college football, here we are, third consecutive week, and we've had a major firing. 2 weeks ago, I guess it was James Franklin. Last week it was Billy Napier. This week it's Brian Kelly. And this one kind of came out of left field. After the 49-25 loss to Texas A&M at home on Saturday night, the AD and Kelly met. The AD wanted the offensive coordinator fired. Kelly didn't want to do that. Things got kind of derisive, and from all indications at that point, the AD decided to make a change, and it's going to cost $54 million, and actually it's going to cost over $150 million if you count all the coaches, and yet, whatever.
Keep moving on. I mean, the AD now, I think with the Jimbo Fisher firing, I think he's probably up at least close to $300 million for the money he's spent.
Other people's money
for the two schools he's worked for, A&M and LSU. Brian Kelly comes from Notre Dame, kind of puts himself in the mix for that job. When Ed Orgeron was let go. And really never fit in. He doesn't really, again, from day one where he had the fake Cajun accent or whatever he was doing there. He's always been a chameleon. He seems like he's moved from smaller schools in Michigan to Central Michigan to Cincinnati and then Notre Dame, wherever he landed. Always seemed to kind of reinvent himself a little bit to kind of suit the university he was at. I think LSU fan never really bought into his bravado and didn't like his style. And I think as time went on, maybe the fans were the first one to maybe have some dislike for him. I think it kind of kept on going more and more to boosters, to administration, and ultimately to the players. I don't think the players respected him.
Well,
Rarely do you see certain things that I saw on Saturday against Texas A&M and LSU, where Brian Kelly and Nussmeier, the quarterback, there was a conversation, and the way Nussmeier was talking to him, it wasn't like, "Hey, coach, I'll take care of it." It was like roll the eyes and say whatever, and he sort of just walked away from him. So,
and that's not the first time. I remember the Florida State game a couple of years ago. Same story on the sidelines. Actually, there was a big brouhaha on the sidelines. Right. Here's the deal. And kids know what's going on.
Sure, they do.
When was Brian Kelly accountable for anything that's happened under his regime at LSU?
Not this week. He started saying something about, I got to get this right.
But after the post game press conference, where again he threw his players under the bus.
Right, and so that's where he's at. Brian Kelly always reminded me of the guy at the end of the bar who knows everything.
Right,
and nobody wants to talk to him because he knows everything. You know what I mean? And he's got that swagger or whatever you want to call it, arrogance,
bravado. Yeah.
And it doesn't work. It works. You can be that guy in certain situations. I think at Notre Dame, he probably wasn't that guy, because he didn't have to be insulated by that whole Notre Dame aura, mystique, whatever you want to call it. And I didn't have to worry too much about that. But now it's caught up to him at LSU. And I think, honestly, I don't see Brian Kelly ever reappearing as a coach after this. Big buyout of money. I think he tried to hit a home run at LSU and failed miserably at it. And again, not so much from wins and losses, Rich, or even with X's and O's. Just who he was didn't quite.
And how he carried himself.
Yeah. But going back to what you said about the three coaches that got fired, these big name schools, and you got UCLA out there still. You got a lot of other places that are going to looking for coaches. Supply and demand are not matching up.
No. There's
more demand than supply for these schools who are looking for these big names. I do give LSU credit, though. When they fired Ed Orgeron, they found Brian Kelly. They weren't in the mix with all the other names that kind of came out of nowhere. And this year I'm hearing names like Joe Brady, the OC at Buffalo, who was the architect of that offense a few years back when Joe Burrow and Ed Orgeron led LSU to a national championship. And he's always been a well-thought-of, well-liked guy. Get Joe Brady back. Well, the only way he's going to come back is for a head coaching job. And if LSU is willing to do it, I'm not saying they're going to get him on the cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but if they get him, they're going to probably get him at a good price. I think it'll be a popular hire. The problem with this is Buffalo might go to the Super Bowl, and you have no head coach. Buffalo's going to be like, now what? Because we got our OC trying to play head coach during the week,
right?
Doing recruiting and everything else. It's a good hire, but it might be a tough transition for both Buffalo and LSU if that is the case.
Yeah, see, I don't buy the Joe Brady thing for one reason. If the Bills don't make the Super Bowl or even the championship game this year, Sean McDermott could be blown out and he could end up being the coach in Buffalo.
Well, it all depends on what he cherishes more. Has he been an NFL guy all along, or is he a college guy? That's really what it comes down to. It's going to be lifestyle. It's going to be a lot of different things that go along with it. Buffalo's pretty cold compared to Baton Rouge, so there may be a weather issue there. You never know. And again, and LSU.
There are wives involved.
What's that?
There are wives involved.
Yeah, no doubt. I want to go where? Yeah, I'm going down to LSU. That sounds good to me. But LSU is again an area for recruiting. Louisiana is a very, very good state for recruiting. So LSU's got a big opportunity. I will say this: I listened to a national show today, and they had a little survey as to what's the better job: Penn State, LSU, and Florida. And LSU won by a landslide.
Yes.
I think people see LSU as maybe it's because they do have that sort of go for it mentality. They're not firing coaches because of this. And they're trying to win, and they want, and they don't hesitate to make a move when it needs to be. So maybe that's it. Plus the recruiting side of it. Penn State actually was the second one, and Florida was third in the survey.
Wow.
Again, I look at it from this perspective. There is always across the country a negative SEC connotation. Okay, they don't like to think that the SEC is as good as it is. And so I can see why somebody would say, oh, Penn State's great because, it's Happy Valley and da-da-da-da-da-da. We all know, okay, and I'm not saying this, that probably, I can't even say anymore, maybe every job in the SEC is better than Penn State, okay? I'm not trying to be provocative or push buttons on people, whatever. But look at it. Vanderbilt went from the cellar to number 9 in the country that fast.
Yes.
And so that's what I'm saying. And they get validity by playing the schedule they play in that conference. Plus the exposure is a whole different deal as well. So I get it. Penn State's got a big stadium. They're a storied program, and I'm not trying to put them down, but in this scenario, I don't see them being the better job. Unless it was your job that you wanted to have, I don't see it lining up as the better job, because the fertilest ground in the world for recruiting is the state of Florida. Right. There's no doubt about that. It's not even close. Everyone wants to say, oh, Texas and whatever. And no, I'm sorry. Every school in the country that's worth a damn has a Florida kid on their roster starting. Okay. Yep. Not Texas, not California. There's no. Right. I think there's been 2 California guys ever come from to Florida, if I can remember anybody. Ronald Powell was a number 1 recruit in the country. I think he was a California kid, and he petered out. He wasn't ready for it. But again, so I just think, look at that and say that alone. There was a point in time in the 90s where they were sustaining 3 top 5 teams, all on Florida recruits for the most part. So I think that's where the job is a better job.
Interesting. Kelly was 34-14 in Baton Rouge, but he was just 4-11 against ranked teams after the game on Saturday night. James Franklin had a gaudy record. To me, the only firing that makes sense is Billy Napier. To me,
yes,
to do it in season. What has Penn State gained? Nothing. I don't think they've won a game since the firing, and now they got to go to Ohio State, which was going to be a field goal game, and now they're giving up 3 touchdowns.
Right.
They're going to struggle to make a bowl. I don't understand. The quick trigger, but here we are, and who knows? Next Monday, who's the next coach getting blown out?
We could probably look around and start looking and seeing teams, but to the magnitude of these firings, I'm not sure. I also mentioned that I saw that where they were mentioning Dabo Swinney as a potential guy at LSU. He had them going and grabbing him up from Clemson. He would love to be in the SEC, I would think, the way he's talked about it. I thought it was very telling when he said in like week 2 or 3, hey, you know what? If they want to fire me, great, because I'm going to go coach somewhere else. I'm 55 years old. I'm not going to stop coaching. That right there, to me, when you say that, you're telling somebody in the administration, I dare you to do it.
Right.
Okay. And it also tells me that you're not so entrenched in your Clemson-ness. You know what I mean? You're there, you've done it. Maybe you're starting to look around saying I don't have the enthusiasm for it. Maybe my message is sort of becoming, dulled down, and going somewhere and be riding in on the white stallion and being the new conquering hero, be it at LSU or Florida or even Penn State. Boy, he could rob the bank and be given a big sum of money, very equal to what he's getting at Clemson at this point.
Yeah.
Because you know what, the ACC, and I know you're a Florida State guy, Rich, and I know but the ACC, it doesn't really. It's either 1 or 2 teams are going to get in there, and right now Clemson's not one of them. So
right, you're absolutely right, and it's definitely more prestigious to coach in the SEC. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Does any of these positions get filled before the end of the regular season? That's my biggest thing, and I hear all kinds of stuff. You're a Florida guy, Lane Kiffin now. How many times are we going to slice him up here? Right. There was a lot of talk this past week that Florida was making a big push to him, and now LSU's got an opening, and they want to go after him. And now, does that make you nervous as a Florida fan?
It does, but I'm not totally convinced that. I think Lane Kiffin, offensive coordinator Lane Kiffin, I'll take him all day. Okay, his behavior after the Oklahoma game on TV. He's
like a frat boy.
It's a childish, and he can't stop himself. And even you watch him, he says what he says. He didn't just say it a little bit; he said it a lot. He said it. He kept going after the kid. Okay, he provoked the whole. It wasn't a big deal. I mean, nobody was going to fight each other. But
right. It was tongue in cheek, but
it was stupid. It was just juvenile. But then he had to unravel himself. He still wanted to keep saying stuff. So he points out some other kid from Oklahoma that he says, that's one of the best defensive guys in the country. So he's realizing, oh, I just said something on national TV. Molly McGrath just called me out. I better say something nice about somebody because otherwise I'm going to look like a jerk. Too late. You look like an ass. That's all it comes down to. And so he's never not going to be that guy. I get a lot of comparisons as a Florida fan to him being like Steve Spurrier. No. Steve Spurrier just didn't like the other teams. He played college football at Florida. So all the people that all the fans and all the alumni, he was the guy saying, I'm going to make up for all the stuff we didn't get, and I'm going to get back at these people who did me wrong. He holds grudges, and so that's where he's at. Lane Kiffin just he's the guy who wants to pick the fight, but doesn't want to really fight the fight. You know what I mean? He's saying little stuff. He's a nice hairdo or whatever he's saying to some people, that kind of stuff. He doesn't have any skin in the game. He's just saying stuff to say stuff. And so that's what bothers me about Lane Kiffin. Now, is it likely that Florida will go hard after him and he might go to Florida? Yes, 100%. I think that the more and more I think about him leaving Ole Miss, somebody said to me, does it come down to him beating Florida at the Grove, in November, or losing to Florida and then saying, well, if you can't beat him, join him, and he runs down the road and he's done, because that could be the loss that sets him back like it did last year, where he's out of the CFP and he says, might as well go start early and go to my new school, and he goes to Florida at that point. I could see a hire being made at Florida somewhere between that game and the FSU game. I would be surprised if they didn't have somebody by the Monday after the FSU game. That would surprise me if they didn't. If they didn't have a coach, they didn't do their due diligence and they didn't do their homework and didn't have a list ready to go.
Well, Scott Strickland's come under fire. He's already failed twice at hiring a coach, and you've talked about this before. A lot of Florida fans have talked about this before. Why should he get a third chance? Why? But the problem is, and it's the same problem at LSU. LSU also doesn't have a president, so you have two very similar situations between Florida and LSU. Yeah,
they got guys who are just running amok, whatever they want to do, and hopefully they're all hoping that they make the right decisions. How often does a president have, let's say, the input to a coach, maybe about their character, maybe about a certain things, but as far as the X's and O's and the football side of it, that's all stuff being done by the people in the athletic department. So we'll see. It's going to be. I think it's going to be very interesting. This has as much drama to it as what free agency does in the NFL right now. It's coaching free agency is what it is. So we'll see. Like I said, talking about other people getting let go. I think there's going to be probably, because when the things start shuffling around, let's say two of the coaches, let's say both one of them, the Missouri coach Drinkowitz, or the coach from Vanderbilt, one of them gets plucked. That job's got to be filled.
Yeah.
What if Dabo leaves? Then Clemson has a job. What about if Sarkisian really wants to go leave Texas and go and be an NFL coordinator, if that's really what he wants?
No, he pretty much put the kibosh on that. He's very upset.
Well, understandably, but I will tell you this: it only comes from the truth. Where there's smoke, there is fire. I don't think people make stuff up like that, especially specifics. Something came up that was leaked for a reason. Either leaked to make him say, we're shutting you down by putting it out in public, or he put it out there to see if anybody said, well, he's a heck of a talent. Something was done on purpose there. So don't think it wasn't possible. Maybe it's not going to go away, but that's something that a lot of people did. Even Steve Spurrier did it. He would always talk about the NFL and he used it as a bargaining chip. Mm-hmm. He used it as a bargaining chip. So we'll see how that works.
Some really interesting results in the SEC. Alabama was down 7 in the fourth quarter and looked to be in trouble, but they came roaring back and beat South Carolina 29-22. The biggest comeback was in Stark Vegas, where Mississippi State had a double-digit lead, had a 16-point lead in the fourth quarter. Texas had to score 2 touchdowns and get 2 two-point conversions, which they did, and then they end up winning in overtime, although out of that game, it sounds like Arch Manning might or might not make the Vanderbilt game this week.
Listen, if he's concussed, I don't think he's going to make it back. I really don't. And honestly, Arch Manning's not coming out to be a pro. He's got another year or two at Texas as long as it is. him missing a game is not the worst thing in the world. It's not the worst thing in the world.
Not for him, but maybe for the program. Although, again, he's played very sporadic this year.
They're lucky to have 2 losses. Lucky. And I say that without – now I would say it to a Texas fan. You are very lucky, and they probably tell you the same thing. They shouldn't have won that game against this past week against Mississippi.
They went overtime with Kentucky and Mississippi State, 2 of the bottom feeders. Yeah. I don't care if they're on the road. You got to win those games more impressively than that.
Yes, 100%. And I think in the case of Mississippi State, I don't want to pick on the coach, but he lost 2 games he should have won on some pretty stupid plays. The one against Florida, why you throw in that situation is beyond me. I don't know why you put that in that situation there. And I thought his clock management at the end of the Texas game was just terrible. So with that, their wins have been not very impressive. Very impressive. Oklahoma is the only win that I think that they've had all year that was impressive.
Yes, I would agree with that. USF. Wow. When was a field goal such a bad thing?
Right.
You're up 7. It's the 4th quarter. It's 4th and 3. It's not 4th and an inch. It's not 4th and 1. You're inside the 10. When did it become bad to not take 3 points? I watched the Green Bay-Pittsburgh game all last night. Green Bay kept getting in the red zone, getting stopped. Field goal after field goal. And the next thing you know, they're up 19.
So to me, I would say don't chase points.
Right.
If you got 3, take the 3. You cost your team 8 points or whatever. How many points? Because it's stupid. It's just stupid stuff like that.
It's 11, really. You play off your slate and they get 8.
Right. And so USF, there's always a moment in maybe a coaching tenure at a school where a good coach gets a lesson.
Yes.
You know what? I beat Florida and I did this. I am smart as hell. I'm so smart, I can't stand myself, how smart I am. And I'm going to outsmart everybody. And what you did was you outsmarted yourself. Mm-hmm. And all you had to do is play. Nobody says you have to have a book. You can coach with feel. You can do certain things. But when you're doing things that just really don't make any sense because you just think you can do it and you're going to show everybody that you can, that gets you in a whole lot of trouble. You get 1, maybe 2 passes on something like that. After that, you do it again, you become that guy. Just ask Billy Napier.
Yes.
Oh, hey, we're going to go for it. Let's run on 4th and 8. Let's do it. No, man. The wheel is the wheel. You're not going to reinvent it. So let's just, know how you do it. The really great coaches would never do that. Right. Never. They don't need to prove anything to anybody else. They already know they're good.
Right.
So that's got to be a lesson.
Be damned. Analytics be damned.
And that's where I don't know at any college if the AD is the boss of all these coaches, where the AD doesn't come and put his arm around coach to coach, tough game, but maybe next time you kick a field goal. Right. You know what I mean? Maybe not right in the moment, but maybe Monday.
Well, and to Alex Golish's credit, he stepped right up to the mic and said, "This one is on me." Yeah. Obvious to you and me, but Brian Kelly never steps to the podium and says that.
No, of course not.
Let's use that as an example. Golish just flat out said, "My fault."
And Billy Napier would talk in alphabet soup. He'd give you some all these different. You didn't even know what he was saying anymore. Like, did he make a sentence or did he just put like words together just to kind of sound smart? He never sort of gripped that. Well, we were doing this on this and it doesn't make any sense. Admit it. Don't do it again. Don't do something silly like that again, especially in a situation where they were the better team. Yes. They were the better team. I watched 65% of that game. I was back and forth with certain things, but I watched most of that game, and they were the better football team.
And that's the heartbreaking thing for if you're a USF fan. But this week's big matchups, again, the SEC all over it. I mean, the Big Ten has a bunch of, we talked already about Penn State and Ohio State. That's now a 3-touchdown game. Indiana, they're a wagon. I personally am just rooting so hard to get undefeated Ohio State against undefeated Indiana. I just want to see it.
Right.
You want greatness, be with greatness, and whoever wins that's going to be the number 1 seed in the tournament, and the other one's going to have to probably work their way up.
The Oregon game with Indiana was the one that turned me that I think that they're a dangerous football team.
Mhm.
I watched the whole Ohio State Texas game, and I know it's the first game of the year and everything else.
Yeah, you were
But
not
Ohio
impressed.
State has not impressed me this year. They've done well. They've got players. Don't get me wrong. They deserve to be number one in the country, no doubt about it. But man, I want to see that game. I think Indiana
Agreed.
and I know the offense has been a juggernaut for a couple of years, 2 years now. But the defense, my goodness, they probably the most athletic team they're going to face across the board was Oregon. You go to Oregon in their place. They had 18-game winning streak or something like that, or whatever it was. And
Yep.
the second half of that game, Indiana just beat the hell out of them.
Yes.
Beat the hell out of them.
Physically.
And so that just got me like I was stunned. And then this week to go out and beat a kind of a momentum growing for UCLA, they put that right to bed.
Yep.
50.
They have that killer instinct. Cignetti has that killer instinct.
Yeah,
And
I
right
agree.
now, and he's also, after last year, in his mind, he's got to do style points. He's got to beat these teams that are supposed to win by
Absolutely.
6-7 touchdowns. That he's going to do it.
And they still say it. Indiana's a basketball school.
Right.
Indiana's a basketball school. Indiana's a basketball school. That's all you're hearing. And so, no, in this case, they use the portal smart. They've got they're I mean, the athletes that I'm seeing on the defensive side, I'm like, Mike, these are SEC level athletes I'm seeing running around making plays.
Yep.
And it's impressive. It's really impressive what they've done. I can't tell you how impressed I am. So looking forward to see how they do.
All right. The triple header, it's kind of interesting how it stacks up. To me, the worst game is the 7:30 game, Oklahoma and Tennessee, probably an elimination game. In all reality, Tennessee, a 3.5-point favorite at home. The middle game, of course, is the cocktail party. Georgia is an 8-point favorite. I'll be grabbing all those points. I think Georgia's been living on the edge.
Yep.
And Florida is going to be a very motivated team. I've talked to a couple of people who are Georgia fans that are scared to death of this game.
Well, I'll be there as always. I've got a run going here where I don't miss for 40 some years. I don't miss games
Right.
in Jacksonville. And it's I'll just say this one thing, just a little for all the fans out there. If you ever get a chance to go.
Yeah.
Fan or not of either team, just go. It is hard to explain. And I'll tell you this, I go to another event every year, which is the Waste Management Golf Tournament out in Scottsdale.
Yes.
And we the other day, last year, somebody said to me, he's like, you know what this is like? I'm like, what? He goes, it's like the Florida-Georgia game on a golf course. I'm like, you're right. It is. It lives up to the bill every year. It's not as hostile as people might make it out to be. You can't put a couple 100,000 people with from each school to be there that you're not going to get some sort of, some stupid crap going on somewhere, fighting or whatever it may be. But otherwise, everybody's in the same frame of mind. I thought it was so ridiculous back a few years ago when Kirby was saying to everybody, you know what, this is the unfair advantage and this and that. We're going to move it out of Jacksonville. He got told otherwise because money is great on the deal. They make a lot of money. And
have you heard anything from Oklahoma? Have you heard anything from Oklahoma in the Texas game?
No.
Game's played in Dallas. You know why? Oklahoma goes and says, you know what? We gotta pick up a few kids while we're there.
You can
Use it
recruit.
as an opportunity.
You can recruit. Absolutely.
Yes.
It's a fantastic situation to recruit. And it's something special. And you talk to all the old players, and we know a few here and there, obviously. And they
Right.
say, yeah, we couldn't wait for that game. It's fantastic. It's a great situation. Everybody enjoys it. The fan bases are there. It's so cool to see half the stadium red and black, the other side being orange and blue. And it's really kind of a cool deal. So if you get a chance to go. And I'll go back to your point. The points in Florida are very much you should be nervous. I have been very impressed with Billy Gonzalez being on in front of a microphone the last 2 times. He was on today as well. I listened to a little bit he has to say. He is saying all the right things. He's been a guy who's been around a lot of good programs. Obviously, Florida being with Urban Meyer and everything else. Something has worn off on him. He knows how to give a press conference for sure. And it seems as though this kind of the wink and the nod moment I'm seeing here is that maybe he's like, we're going for it. We're moving forward. We're going for it. And I even heard some things where he said that Billy Napier was in the room and when things were being said to the players and whatnot. They were all together, unified. Scott Strickland and everything else. That made me feel like everybody is behaving classy and for the right reasons, and the kids are looking at it and saying, well, I know now, we understand why coach is getting let go. We understand the situation as it is.
Right.
So maybe that gives them enough to fight for the old university and go out there and put a game on them. I would not be surprised if they come out fired up. They're going to be looking for all kinds of ways to score, do whatever they're going to do, motivated as you know what. And I would say that the point spread could be very close in this game.
Well, I think Florida's got a real shot to win the game.
Yes,
and just wreck Georgia's season. A second loss in the SEC would pretty much. I mean, they would have to fight and claw. I mean, they've got a game with Georgia Tech, which went 8 overtimes last year.
Yeah.
And Georgia Tech's better now. I mean, that's no gimme anymore. So their schedule still has a bunch of potholes in it. And
Rich, I don't know, because again, if never was there a time where where Florida has been in the last few years as talented as Georgia, I think they may be more talented than Georgia. Okay, if you want to start making comparisons to position by position, the backfield, Florida is more talented than Georgia. Okay, they got running backs galore. They got DJ Lagway, who's been a little bit sporadic, but talent-wise, he's got the talent. I think where Florida is lacking a little bit is going to be on both sides of the ball in the line of scrimmage. But other than that, as far as athletes are concerned, I don't see where Georgia has a big advantage. And I think that's been Kirby's MO. Kirby has been more talented than the other guy, and he had another guy behind him that was as talented. He's depleted a little bit as far as his talent's concerned. And I think if Florida can get momentum going, Georgia is just due. They've been getting very lucky. Referees have bailed them out. You name it. They've been bailed out of a couple potential losses, and this might be the one where he gets caught into it, and with it, I should say.
Hey, before we move on, and I'm going to talk about another 11 a.m. game. That's a doozy in Austin. Let's give a shout out to Damon Wilson, who had an interception this week in the Missouri Vanderbilt game, and he played very well in a very physical game. He is really rounding into shape and making himself some serious money coming on Sunday starting next year.
Impressive first few weeks with Missouri, getting some sacks, 5.5 sacks I think they had going into last week, and 2 more I think as well. The interception there. He's very athletic. He always has been. Long arms, very. He's bigger than he looks.
Yes.
When you're out there.
He is quick.
Very quick. And always had that just an athlete. So as the season goes for Missouri, and the more he does, you're right. His stock in the NFL draft, and he's getting his name called out by everybody. You know, up the last couple of weeks, you hear, let me show you Damon Wilson, on this play. Let me show you Damon Wilson on that play. So he's definitely getting the notoriety. And that's one thing I will say. You're never quite sure how a portal scenario is going to work out for somebody. I think in this case, for Damon, I think it's worked out really well for him. He's got into a good offense. He's getting to showcase his talents, and I think he'll propel him into the NFL.
No question about it. The first game on Saturday is very intriguing to me. Vanderbilt, number 9, heading to Texas to take on the Longhorns. Texas just a 2.5-point favorite. Again, the Arch Manning situation. If he's concussed, does he play? And if he doesn't play, is it really that much of a drop-off the way he's played this year?
The answer is no.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. If I'm Vanderbilt, I might be saying, damn, I'll get Arch ready. Put him in there for us. He's had some games where he's put some numbers up last week in particular. But again, that's from coming behind him and from to Mississippi State. So I think that no matter who they put out there at quarterback, I don't think Vandy's going to be terribly worried about it, to be honest with you.
Right.
And I keep on hearing how, look out, Texas got their running backs back. Well, this is the week to show me, because I've seen nothing from their running backs that make me. This is you look at the running backs that are all over the country. Texas didn't have a guy, not even the top 40 guy, as far as running backs. And why they keep on mentioning these guys, I'm sure they're good and they were highly recruited, but they have shown me nothing to this point. And I'm not like Texas. I think they're a decent school. I think they're a decent team, but I just don't see we sort of got a bag of goods.
Wait a minute. When your payroll's $40 million, you got to be better than decent.
Yes, that's true. And I'll tell you this, going back to the Sarkisian rumors, maybe there's something that he's like looking around saying, you know what? I don't have the guys I thought I had. You know what I mean? Maybe these guys are, maybe I overdid it. Maybe he's looking around and saying, I'm not deep, as far as that's concerned. And maybe last year was the team that was the one I had to get my shot at it. Leave before you get shown the door. That might be what he's thinking. I don't know. I think that, again, I said, where there was smoke, there's fire. And I don't know if it's it, but I still think there's some valid point to that with him.
The other game I put on the sheet, number 17, Cincinnati travels to Utah. I don't know if you caught any of the Utah-Colorado game last week. At halftime, Utah had 400 and something yards. Colorado had minus 18. It was 43-0. Deion said he's never taken a beating like that since his mama beat him when he was little. Yeah. I mean, that was a fight that should have been stopped in the second quarter.
Utah's always a physical football team, more than you think. And when they sprinkle those athletes in around them, they are a contender. And I'll say the culture has been set in stone at that place for sure. I think that Utah will, if Willingham stays there and doesn't retire or whatever happens with him, they might be in the playoffs in the next 2 years. They're building something with their skill position guys. They're always good up front, and they're definitely built. But look, Brigham Young's good too. They're going to be.
That was an impressive win. That was an impressive win. Everybody thought they were going to lose, and they fell behind early, and they scratched and clawed back. That freshman quarterback, every week he gets better.
Number 47. I love it.
Yeah, I do too.
What a number. Yeah, so I think that's good. But both those schools, the Utah and BYU, are moving up the ladder power wise. They are going to be.
There's plenty of money there. Plenty of money.
Absolutely. And but by the way, they have with them going on the missions they go on, everything else, they get guys coming back after a few years that are 23 years old, mature, body mature.
Yep. Yes, sir.
And they have a pipeline to the Samoan Islands, and they get some guys that are just built for football. Built like fire hydrants. So they're just low to the ground and can't move them, and talented athletes. So no doubt about it. And listen, 1983, BYU won a national championship. I'm pretty sure it was 83. If I'm not, maybe I'm a year or two off.
It was 84. 84, because that was my senior year.
My goodness, those teams were back then were phenomenal. Same blueprint. This is no surprise to me to watch BYU be where they are, but Utah is doing the same thing. They're having the same kind of success that BYU does. I think that's it shouldn't surprise us as much as it does. And if they can keep it up, they'll be they'll make an impact in the playoffs.
All right, that'll do it for college football. By the way, you heard our sponsor, the Mighty Dog, a little earlier. Mighty Dog Roofing in Southwest Florida.
Did you bring you a place today up in Massachusetts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tool belt and the whole deal.
Mighty Dog Roofing in Southwest Florida, locally owned, nationally backed, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses throughout the Gulf Coast. They bring you the 941 Sports Zone. 941-251-4257 is the number to call. Let's switch to the NFL. We'll start locally and we'll kind of work our way back. The Bucs, this was a dangerous spot. I kept looking at that line all week. The Bucs are 5-2. I know they were coming off the Detroit loss. I know they were injured. But, man, this is New Orleans, one of the three worst teams in the NFL, and the line's 3.5. 3.5. Well, we found out why. The Bucs offense didn't do much. 212 total yards, 1 offensive touchdown. They got 3 50-plus field goals from Chase McLaughlin, and they got a career year in one day from Anthony Nelson, a pick 6, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble.
Right.
23-3. They limp into the bye week. Boy, you talk about a team that needs the bye week. The Bucs needed the bye week, and
there's no doubt about it.
They're going to get a chance to recharge the batteries.
It was significant them winning that football game, because you go into the bye week with a loss to New Orleans. it's hard to kind of you got some self-doubt. You start thinking about reasons why it happened, injuries, whatever it may be. Going into it saying, okay, we came out of it okay. With the first half of the year has sort of gone by or close to it at that point. And let's get healthy, let's get right. Because when we're healthy and we're right, we're probably in the top 3 in the NFC at this point.
Yep. I don't think there's any question about it. So the Bucks, and they already went in knowing that Carolina and, dare I say, Atlanta lost earlier in the day, both getting blown out. Carolina by Buffalo, you understand that. Atlanta by Miami, 31-3 in the fourth quarter.
You know,
is Raheem Morris in trouble, John?
Again, we're thinking the same. Raheem Morris has shown this propensity when he was a coach before. Very much I don't want to say it's undisciplined because that's not fair. It's not cohesive each week. I don't know if that he coaches in a manner that demands a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when he was with the Bucks, I was always weird because they all called him Raheem. They didn't call him coach or whatever it may be. I know, and there's certain protocols, you know what I mean, that you need to follow. You should follow. And I don't think he commands the respect that maybe he should, and the results show it. Hey, we feel like playing for coach this week. Let's go out there and do something. And then I think sometimes it's like, you know what? We got this one. Or Miami. Miami's bad. We've watched them throw in the towel already this year. We're going to roll out there and do whatever we have to do and do it. It surprises me when their best player, who's the best, supposedly the best football player in the NFL, can't get more than 29 yards in a game against anybody, especially Miami.
It's just the whole thing. I mean, I was down there 2 weeks ago. They beat Buffalo on Monday night.
Right.
And everything looked like they were getting ready to, listen to them. They've got a lot of bravado. They looked like they're getting ready to make a run, and now back-to-back losses to San Francisco, and then this loss here is just I don't know how. I don't know how Miami the week before was blown out in Cleveland.
I know. But that tells me the effort was crappy.
Yes.
What they put out there was crap, and they couldn't unravel it. You can't all of a sudden get your mojo back together. When you go out there and start off like crap because you think you're overconfident, and that's a problem. And that's a problem with the coach. That's a problem with the coach. If you come out there and think that's the case, that effort, that whole thing, we know they're talented enough to beat Buffalo. We know they're talented enough to beat a lot of teams they've beaten. You can't. There's no other excuses that they were not ready to play that football game, and that's 100% on Raheem Morris.
No question about it. Hey, your Jets got to win.
That's all we're going to talk about. It was such an unbelievable thing. But talk about chasing points. That's the only time I've ever said to myself, good for you. They're going for 2 points before they needed to go. They didn't need to go for 2 points. They could have tied the game, whatever it was. But they did it, and it got them a chance to win the game without, because overtime would have been a terrible scenario for them.
And they got a break. They got the replay. It was, the pass was good. He was across the line. Right. Originally told no, but then they got it. The Jets don't normally get that break, John. You know better than anybody.
Yeah, everything sort of went their way. Funny part about it was, longtime Jet fan knows the Jets, and Joe Flacco was a quarterback for the Jets, and Joe Flacco's been a I would call him a journeyman now for maybe 9-10 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
In the NFL. Okay.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco can go out there and throw the most beautiful ball down the field to whoever it needs he's throwing it to. He has all those things, but inevitably in every game he lays an egg. And it may take him 20 minutes to lay that egg. He's going to lay that egg, okay? And Cincinnati, undisciplined team, in my opinion. I think that they just, it's just not there for them. And they let you can't get into a shooting match with Joe Flacco being your main shooter. He might get you the quarter or two, but if you're going to get in a shooting match, you left it open. You didn't close it when you were up by 14. You didn't close the door. You let the Jets go right down the field. Yeah. Once that started to happen, I thought this is why the Jets don't have Flacco anymore, because Flacco can only give you half a game. He gave them a half a game, put a bunch of points up, and the Jets scored more, and they won their game. Does it mean anything in the long grand scheme of things for this year? Yes, it does, because I think now that it's happened, that Aaron Glenn can actually breathe again. You know, he's
Yes,
probably holding his breath for all these weeks. I think the players
can
show
breathe
that
too.
they really do like their coach. I
Yes,
think he's a good guy, and ultimately, nothing may come of it. But whatever happened in this game, but Justin Fields showed for the first time a human side to himself. Even when when he got recruited number one quarterback in the country at Georgia, he never really came across as a guy you wanted to be friends with. You know what I mean? He always seemed like he was just very standoffish,
right.
very sort of, he my way or the highway. That's how I play kind of guy. And you could see it that, the benching and then the non-benching and the owner coming out and saying something about it, it affected him.
Yeah.
But I think it
But he
affected him.
handled it like a pro.
And
I
right.
love the way he handled it.
But he handled it. But it affected him in a positive manner. He showed something about himself that the guy has at least more character than I gave him credit for. Maybe for whatever reason, you don't have to know somebody. What he does with this, and if he can prove himself to be worthy of another year chance with the Jets or anybody else, I don't know. But he's at a starting point where he can do something. We'll see what happens. Maybe, just maybe, Tyrod Taylor's injury will be the best thing that ever happened to Justin Fields. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was very serviceable last year with Pittsburgh. A lot of people thought, he was 4-2 and he was benched, and a lot of people took umbrage with that and were like, well, why would you sit him down, Mike Tomlin? So,
and one other thing,
good on him.
One other thing I've been saying about the Jets, about their best players they're really good players, but they're complementary players more than they are the first guys. Their best players didn't play.
Yeah.
Except for Breece Hall. And what do you know? They won without them.
Yeah.
They
Interesting.
And no Garrett Wilson. Again, I'm not saying that they're not good players.
No, I know exactly I hear you.
And you watch guys make catches, not circus catches. You watch guys make tackles, not throwing your shoulder at their ankles. You watch. I think you saw how important tight ends are in this league. With Jets, with Jeremy Ruckert, who's been a blocking tight end forever, and now Mason Taylor, who I thought was a pretty decent draft pick for the Jets, show up in a situation. It's you look at it and you say that's how you win. Yep. You don't win with flash only. And the Flash didn't play, and they won.
Denver won their fifth straight 44-24 over Dallas. Can we put the Cowboys to bed now?
Please. I'm tired.
I was just kind of peeking up here. They're doing the Monday Night Countdown show as we record, and they had a whole segment on the Cowboys defense. It's been atrocious. The fact that they beat a beat up Washington team the week before, and they beat the Jets. Okay, so that's what they were hanging their hat on. Denver went out and just killed them. Nothing. I mean, they did everything they wanted, and Denver struggled on offense, and they went up and down the field like it was nothing.
Right. I totally agree. By the way, can we get one thing else? Put one thing out there. Throw out Denver's stupid blue, whatever the hell uniforms they have. The grossest ever. That uniform is fantastic. They're so good looking. Those uniforms are.
Yeah, absolutely.
You had your nickname for your team was the Orange Crush, right? Right. And then you throw it in the garbage for some crappy ass like Star Trek looking blue uniform that they still have. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. I can't even tell you how much that bothers me. Those uniforms they're made to be in that situation. Football uniforms should look like football uniforms, not like something that Louis Vuitton designed, or whoever you want to say, Gucci or whatever. I don't know. It's a football uniform. It looks great. The Bronco thing with the D horse coming through the D, that's fantastic. And I will say this too. Always thought Sean Payton was a good coach. He's a great coach. He's not a good coach. He's a great coach. Yeah. That guy, and he's got a little more bravado than you give him credit for. He'll say he sometimes looks like he's sort of like deep in thought. He squints a lot when he's walking around the area looking around, but he's got a little little hard ass in him for
Well,
sure.
as a Bucks fan, I know when we
Yeah.
played the Saints when he was there, boy, those were battles. And yeah,
No doubt.
he's definitely definitely a really good coach. Another team won their 5th straight, the New England Patriots. Speaking of their old time uniforms and what they currently wear. But anyway, it doesn't matter what they wear right now. 32-13 over Cleveland. Fans chanting MVP for Drake May in year 2.
That's a little too much. That's a
It is.
little northeastern.
It is,
bravado.
but you know what? He's certainly given them hope here, and he got off to a slow start and stayed with it, and they killed the Browns in the second half, despite the fact that Myles Garrett had 5 sacks. Myles Garrett, he has 5 sacks, and he's thrown his helmet down.
Right.
I don't think he's staying. You know, he made a statement he's staying in Cleveland for the rest of his career. I'm not so sure.
No, I don't know. I don't think so either. I think it's kind of hard to be in a dysfunctional family like the Cleveland Browns are and perform at that level and not be frustrated. And he's frustrated, and rightfully so. He should be.
Yeah. Baltimore without Lamar, and there's some controversy there in Baltimore. I want to see how this plays out, because on Thursday and Friday they said he was a full participant at practice, and then on Saturday they came out and said, "Oh no, he was only limited and he's out." The precedent's already been set. Teams have lost draft picks over this,
and it goes because it's BS what they did, and they did
right.
it, and understandably, that's not how it's meant to be. There's some sort of protocol and how things are done, and they totally threw it in the garbage. And they deserve to lose a draft pick for that kind of stuff.
We'll see how that plays out. 30-16.
They did it on purpose.
They did beat Chicago, another very unstable game for Caleb Williams. Boy, he's at times he's his own worst enemy. He's rolling along in this game, and he throws an inexplicable pass at the 20-yard line, and a close game becomes a bit of a rout. And you know, Ben Johnson's done a pretty nice job with him, but I don't know if he's the answer.
No, because his style doesn't work. I'll put them all in a nutshell for you. The guys that are kind of the same guys: Tua, Caleb Williams, Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Okay, they're kind of the same guys. They are small in stature. They make plays outside of the pocket. That's sort of they want to be outside of the pocket. Their first move is to get out of the pocket. They don't want to step up. I've seen them. I'm not saying they've made some plays, but ultimately they all go back to it. It's put Tua in the hospital with concussions 19 times. Yeah. He doesn't know how to just not run away from pressure. Just fall down, whatever you have to do. These guys don't work. It doesn't work. They're college guys.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not pros. They are just not pros. And so I think it's a real issue for them. I think there's some issues. Now Baker Mayfield is a similar smaller guy in stature who does that as well. And he's transformed himself into maybe a little bit more than what they are. He still makes plays with his feet, but he does it more when it's necessary, not because it's what he likes to do. Right. And so there's somebody who, that's why I didn't put him into that category. He's not that guy. They can get better, but at this point I'd say it's a tough road for all of them. They're just not really, they don't look like the guys to me.
The mighty dog making his appearance again.
Oh,
yes. Indy 7-1. You know what? All they do is just keep on keeping on. Another good game from Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor. They should be yelling MVP in Indy because he is putting up numbers that are insane right now. And
quietly, they built quite an offense around Danny Dimes. You know what I mean? The kid Warren out of Penn State that they got in the first round. I was hoping the Jets would get him. I saw that guy. He had. You look at it. You can look at certain tight ends and go like, that guy's going to be good. That's the Kittles. That's
Brock Bowers.
That's the Kelce's. The Brock Bowers. They have that look. They're solid guys. They take abuse over the middle. You just see it. But they're Indy's good. Let's put it to you. They're really good. In an average division. I thought it was the worst division in the NFL going into the season.
Right.
I've moved them up to average. Maybe not the worst. They're more average than bad. Right now, the Buccaneers are in the worst division. They're just the best of the world. They're just that much better because after what Atlanta showed last week,
Carolina too.
Carolina Carolina too. Carolina and New Orleans. It's not a good division at all.
Yeah, no, you got it. One other game, the Sunday night game. Pittsburgh gets out to a pretty significant lead. I think they led by 9 at halftime, and Jordan Love, who I'm not a Jordan Love fan. I think he's overrated, but the way he played last night, he's going to shut me up because he was spectacular.
He's not consistent yet, Rich. That's why you can't turn him over and say like he's the guy. He's the guy you're going to go forward with. He'll be Green Bay's quarterback for the next 6 or 7 years. Whatever it's going to be, he's going to win football games. How many is a matter that's going to be his defining situation. But I'm still not sold yet either. There's a few more things I'd like to see out of him. But again, look at Green Bay collecting wide receivers, collecting everything. They've got guys that are around him. Josh Jacobs at running back.
Yes, you're a big Josh Jacobs
If you
guy.
play fantasy football, I do too. Josh Jacobs is a layup at fantasy football. He's never the guy. Oh, he's a top number one guy. He's not, but he is because he plays hurt. He has speed. He can power run. He's got every aspect of the game. He's a guy you don't have to take off the field if you don't want to. He's the real deal. And so that offense, he's got a lot of parts that he can run around with. And on defense, how much better can you get than picking up what's his face? I'm drawing a blank. Micah Parsons. You pick him up from Dallas.
He's ramped his game up actually.
Right, because I'm saying it doesn't surprise me. He just wants to show everybody how good he is.
Yep.
Of course he does. And you got a motivated guy. And Green Bay's dangerous. I wouldn't say they're locked to be anything, but they're dangerous.
They're the 1 seed right now. 5-1-1. The 1 seed.
But I mean, do we buy them being the best team in the NFC right now? Probably not. I think Philly probably still feels like the best team.
Detroit.
Right, and the Rams are playing well. So there's other teams out in the Buccaneers. Don't forget the Buccaneers. So it's kind of hard to say that Green Bay is, but again, at home games at Lambeau in the playoffs, if that's where they land, they could go someplace for sure. I could definitely see that.
Yep. All right, games coming up this week. The Thursday night game is a barn burner. Al and Kirk going to have some material, I think. And both teams are coming off wins. Baltimore and Miami battle of 2 and 5 teams. Baltimore's actually laying 7.5 in this game, and Lamar has already been declared playing in this game. So I think that's
they had to do that.
Kind of interesting. Sunday, the Jags are back in action. They're in Vegas at 4:00. That's a must-win for them. They're sitting at 4-3 off of 2 pretty bad losses after beating Kansas City. They've got to get back on track. Minnesota at Detroit. If Minnesota's season is not completely over, it will be after this game because the Lions are beginning to absolutely roll. Chicago and Cincinnati is an interesting game because, again, we're talking about 2 teams that are on the brink. Cincinnati wins that game yesterday. They're a half game behind Pittsburgh in the division.
I know. And it's funny, the division, the NFC North, AFC North is going to come down to the last week, like it always does. Pittsburgh's got a tougher schedule. Baltimore's got an easy schedule. Cincinnati's going to stay around. Cleveland will upset 2 or 3 people. Whatever's going to happen. And they'll all be within a couple of games of each other. It's going to come down to stupid tiebreakers again. It always does. That's how they play these games out. I have 2 very good friends that are very big Steeler fans. And Steeler fan is waiting for this. When's it going to fall apart on us here?
It started already.
They know the schedule. They know that they've been talking about this schedule for a while. They know. So I think that it's going to happen. So we'll see how it plays out.
The featured late game next week, Kansas City at Buffalo. Buffalo wins all the games in the regular season, and Kansas City wins all the games in the postseason. That's the way it's been recently. So pretty big game there, especially if Kansas City somehow gets the win as we record on Monday, which they should.
Interesting game. I'm going to tell you this about that one real quick because I just think Kansas City is on the rise. Okay, they got everybody back. Mahomes is playing like Mahomes. I think it's good, and I think if I feel it right, Buffalo has been hot and cold.
Yes.
Okay, for them. And,
they really needed the buy, and it showed on Sunday.
In Kansas City, if they beat Buffalo, they're the favorite in the AFC again, by far.
Yeah. No argument from me. Sunday Night Football next week, Seattle at Washington. Jaden Daniels back. Will the Commanders be 3-5 and really in trouble? Because listen, if you look at the standings in the NFC, the 7 teams that are at the top, all sitting at like 6-2, 5-1-1. Right. So there's a gap. And the NFC West teams have got to start beating each other to kind of close that gap. The Bucs have a couple of very tough games out of the bye, home to New England and at Buffalo. So that 6-2 could easily turn to 6-4 if they're not careful. So in the Monday Night Football game next week has Arizona at Dallas. John, I want to talk a little bit about we obviously the big news the week we were not from last Monday is the betting scandal in the NBA. Yeah. Terry Rozier accused of manipulating end-of-game situations involving his personal stats as well as end-game situations with his head coach when he was at Portland, Chauncey Billups, who was accused of playing in some high-stakes poker games where apparently the cards were known. Mafia has been spoken a lot.
5 families using X-ray machines to be able to read the cards, and set up poker games and the people that are inviting them are the Chauncey Billups and whoever else may have heard. We heard another rumor today about Antonio Gates being involved as well. Inviting guys to these poker games knowing full well they're going to lose, and I gotta imagine being cut in on the money. So it's you shoot first on this one and what you think the situation is, and I'll shoot second.
Well, I just think this is the tip of the iceberg. I'm all for the legalization of gambling nationwide. As a matter of fact, it's part of the reason that they were able to get involved in this, because Vegas tipped off the FBI, hey, we have some weird action on this game, so they started looking into it. They got the NBA involved, and Adam Silver basically said, well, okay, we investigated, everything is all good. He's in trouble. I think he's in trouble. I really do. For them to just kind of poo-poo it, and then the kind of charges that are being, and there's a new name almost every day. I think this could be the tip of the iceberg. We had the baseball situation with the 2 Cleveland pitchers betting them on themselves, throwing balls and getting other people involved. Again, a lot of weird action. We have the 2 bad calls in the NFL yesterday. I mean, grossly bad calls. The tush push. They're saying that he was down. He was forward progress stopped. What?
Still moving.
You look at that. You look at that video, and you tell me the forward progress has stopped.
No, and that tush push is. I've seen the tush push in a much more congested pile up that didn't get the whistle blown that fast, according to them. Stupid. Yeah. Stupid. So it was a lie. It was a bad call, and they're saying they heard whistles and they didn't.
Right. Speaking of hearing whistles, they heard whistles in New Orleans too, as Antoine Winfield Jr. is running towards the end zone for the Bucs in a close 7-0 or 7-3 game. Completely changed the tone and tenor of the game. And I give Fox credit. They kept running back the replay with the sound, no whistle, none whatsoever. Somebody's got some splaining to do.
Right. No, there's no doubt about it. Going back to the beginning of what you said, I'm not surprised. I have always felt, basketball especially, that it's 100%. I believe that there's a percentage of the games that are being manipulated by gambling, not specifically, that the players have either they're betting on themselves or they're involved with people who have got their number, so to speak. I totally believe it. Basketball is the easiest sport to fix.
Sure, it's only 5 guys on the court.
All you need. It's very easy to fix. And missing a 3 is not that big of a deal. Now they, what I'm saying? It's easy to be that in that situation. Referees as well. I mean, I've never understood where the guy's coming down court and he's not even in to go into his first step to go for a layup or a dunk, and the whistle already blew. The whistle's blowing. I'm like, they didn't do anything yet, and he's not even off the ground. They blew the whistle. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's there's a lot of liberties and assumptions made. I think it's very casual with where they do certain things. And who would care if late in the game, somebody caught back up and got whatever, or you blowing the whistle and late in the game so they can get free throws or whatever the case may be. It's easy pickings. And unfortunately, these guys are susceptible because Shaq said something about Chauncey Billups I thought was fair to say. He's like, a guy making $9 million a year, and he's going to be involved with a cut on $1 million poker game. And I don't get it, but you do when you realize that half these guys don't have any money after they play in the league, or they didn't make as much as they thought they should, or whatever it may be. And they get hooked up with these guys, and it's fun, it's juice. Yeah, who cares? We're just going to take $1 million from some millionaire who wants to hang out with us and wants to be our buddy. We'll get a little something out of him. They're laughing it off.
Right.
I totally believe there's much more to this. It's much deeper than people realize. And I think especially in basketball, I think it is in other places as well. But I don't think that it's at the depth of it is much more a basketball thing. Yeah. Now, in regards to refereeing, it's terrible everywhere. They put an SEC guy on the shelf for how bad he was in 2 games, mostly in the Auburn Georgia
early
game.
Retirement.
Yeah, you're out because you see it all the time. Where when you're live at the game and you watch the mechanics of the instant replay or how they discuss certain things, you cannot believe that a guy who's 30 yards away from a play can see holding or can see something that's not even. Where is it your call to make that call from 30 yards away?
Right.
Yeah, but you can't be in your spot to make sure the guy's in bounds on a catch. It's like you're looking for things to look for them for whatever your reasons are. And referees, they don't get paid a lot. They get booed all the time. They're the bad guy. And why wouldn't you throw a couple extra penalties on somebody late in the game to get the point spread right? And I don't think they walk into the game with that being the case, but I think somebody whispers, if you get the chance. See if you can do something.
I listen, there has been something for years for people who bet basketball. They follow where Scott Foster goes, the referee, Scott Foster. One of the best, he's considered one of the best refs in the NBA. But if you want a series, if you got a series that's 2-1
right
in the playoffs, Scott Foster goes and takes care of game 4, and it usually ends up 2-2.
Right.
And it's in gambling circles, it's talked about openly. Of course, the NBA completely flatly denies it, but of course, then again, they flatly denied that anything was going on with Terry Rozier and other. I guess, and I love playing the player props, John. Mm-hmm. I'm a player prop guy. I hit a parlay yesterday, anytime touchdowns. But I think that's something that's got to go away.
It's because the guy who was the prop guy can make the bet happen.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. It's you're betting all this money on one guy getting 9
points, rebounds, assists, whatever, total yards. It's too easy.
And by the way, your point about the NBA, I've always said it. David Stern. A lot of people like David Stern. David Stern was a damn crook from the get-go. He was a marketer. He didn't care if all those things you're saying all emanated from David Stern. And when you asked him a question about it, he could put it to bed by saying something that would be, hey, you know what? We're always aware of this kind of stuff. We're going to keep an eye on it. He never said it. He got mad. Okay. Yeah. Human nature tells you, okay, in that situation, why are you getting mad? Nobody accused you of anything. We're just trying to figure out why this is a trend or whatever it may be. His reactions to stuff, his sort of like, I'll break your arm, or I'll throw you in the river kind of mentality was just a totally different than how he presented himself when he was marketing his team. He could be hugging Mickey Mouse 1 minute and then telling you to go F off or saying how bad he was. Those guys, he's that guy. It emanated and permeated, and Adam Silver learned, hey, make sure you protect the deal here. We got to have ratings. This sport does not survive, the NBA, without television revenue. Bottom line, they can't make enough money on the stadium. Not enough people go to the games. Right. And it's not the greatest spectator sport in the world either. But it is, what I'm saying. But it's like from that perspective, the TV money means everything. And that's what he's always done. NBA is the most susceptible organization in all sports to being non-existent. Non-existent. They almost went out of business in the 70s. And what brought them back? TV brought them back.
Yes.
No more. They
Magic
got
and Bird.
Magic. They marketed them like crazy. They put it on prime time. It wasn't any more of this BS tape delay and everything else they used to do with basketball. And Stern realized that's where the action was. And he made Michael Jordan who Michael Jordan is. And there we go from there.
Yep. All right. It's not going to be the last time we talk about that either.
No,
it's kind of like the coaching thing. It's just going to keep coming up.
Outside of football season, obviously we have a lot of stuff going on football season, but it's a panel discussion with a bunch of people who know about sports. We can have them on here, and I'll guarantee it'll carry 90 minutes like nothing. Guaranteed.
Yep. All right, time for our locks of the week. I was in deep trouble in the first half of Stanford Miami. I said, whatever spread it is, I'll take Miami, and it's 7-0 Stanford late in the second quarter. But in reality, when you're laying a lot of points, that's the way you want the game to happen. It's not going to go in the back door.
No back doors.
So certainly, Miami ends up getting the 42-7 win. Remind me of your?
I'm Vanderbilt.
There you go. That's right. You're a believer.
I'm a believer.
So you're now 3-2. You are
3-2
above the Mendoza line.
And I'm going to go jump right in real quick. Let's ride it out. Probably one of the bigger, if not the biggest game of the weekend as far as how it matters. Texas, Vandy getting 2.5 against Texas. I will try one more week of another big game for Vanderbilt and see if they can pull it up. I just got a feeling that Vanderbilt's going to be it's going to be the story of the year. It already is probably.
Yes. If they make the playoff, it's going to be unbelievable. Yeah. I'm rooting so hard for it.
Yep.
Them, Indiana. I want new blood. I mean, I know in the end, one of the blue bloods is going to end up winning it, but you know what? Great story, great tournament. And
what it proves, Rich, is that if Vanderbilt can do it, that tells you how deep the SEC really is. If Vanderbilt's number 9 in the country, they're still talented all over the place down there. There's if Vandy can be now. If Vandy's getting to that point, you can't even argue, not even close to argue, the depth of the SEC compared to the other conferences.
Yeah, no question about it. I think Coach Lee is one of those guys that's going to get a job. I really do. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if Penn State went to the well again.
Why not?
Him because they went and got Franklin. Well, why not go out and get Lee?
I agree.
So anyway. All right, final segment of the show again. Mighty Dog Roofing.
What's bugging? What's your pick? What's your lock?
That's right. Oh, I'm sorry, and I'm going back and forth between two. Obviously, I love the Florida lock, but there's just Baltimore laying 7.5 against Miami. I have a theory, and I ended up doing very well on it over the weekend. A bad team does not play 2 good games in a row.
No.
Right. The Browns beat Miami the week before. New England smoked them. Right. Philadelphia smoked the Giants. And I was all over Buffalo. I'm going to take Baltimore and lay the 7.5.
I think that's a good one. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. As much as, and I'm going to play the Gator game too. I just feel more confident in the Baltimore game. I think Baltimore's figured some things out on defense too that
you're adding Lamar back to Baltimore. That's right there alone. And Florida's coming in with a new interim coach.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of solid stuff and a little bit of shakiness on the other side. Although I think they're both good picks.
All right. So we will see if we can ride our streaks out. All right, final segment. What's bugging me? This is easy stuff here. You want to go first? You want me to go?
No, you can go. You go first.
All right. Yeah. What's bugging me is how everybody in the world can see a mistake is made, and yet somehow we can't fix it. And again, I'm going to go back to the 2 plays yesterday. The tush push where the ball was clearly fumbled and recovered by the Giants, and Brian Dable had every right. He had a couple of calls in that game but he already lost $100,000, and he'd have to go home and see the wife if he's going to lose some more off that Thursday night fiasco that we talked about a couple of weeks ago against Philadelphia, where he got fined $100,000 and the team got fined $200,000 for their actions when Jackson Dart was in the tent. But I've never seen a guy. I thought he was going to rip his own ears off with the headset after that play. But I mean, if it's so obvious to everybody, there has got to be a way to make it right. And I hate the crowd that says, well, the human element has been in it all the way. So, I mean, it is the players make mistakes, so the officials make mistakes. No, the official stuff can be fixed. The Antoine Winfield thing is another thing. And yes, I'm a Bucs apologist, but
sure.
The fact of the matter is they played, and give credit to Fox because, they're obviously a partner with the NFL, and I'm sure they got a phone call going, you really got to play that again. You got to really show how bad we are again. And Fox ran it again. So it bugs me that obvious stuff can't be fixed because of this thing and that thing. It drives me insane. And they got to figure it out a way. They have to. Don't give me the excuse, especially with everything going on in the world. And those two plays smell very fishy.
Yes. Fishy. No, I agree. And especially with what's going on, you're absolutely right. Why would that be the case? And I don't know why you can't go back and look at the situation. Forward progress wasn't stopped.
No.
The ball came out. All of the whistle
immediate
being
recovery.
Blown, whistle being blown is the excuse for the big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the go-to. Well, the whistle got blown. No, it didn't. And you can use sound, you can use all kinds of things that kind of match it up, and you can correct it. But they're not going to do that because at some point in time they have to validate themselves in some way, and that's the one way they can do it, I suppose. So who knows? It's correctable. It's a matter of hey,
that's the frustrating thing.
You make that mistake, you're out for 2 games. No check. You don't make much as it is, but guess what? You're not getting your 2 checks. Something's got to get done. All right.
John, what's bugging you?
So it's really, I can tell you this, coming down off the firing of Billy Napier, being a Florida fan, the Jets win a game, you're like, sometimes you lose that edge. You're like, I can't believe all this is happening and whatever else is going on. But I kind of went back to and said, what do I do? What do I do on the weekends or whatever like that? I see something. It just drives me crazy. I cannot stand the post-game college football final show on ESPN.
You've mentioned this before.
I have mentioned it, but now it's to the point where it's become unwatchable. I get it. We all hope to be funny, Rich. I want to make you laugh. I like to make you smile or whatever it may be, and try to say something.
Right.
But it's this idea that you put all this emphasis, ESPN especially in this situation, about college football, the day, the rivalry, everything else, and all these great games, and you get 2 freaking highlights, usually the last play of the game. Who cares? How about in depth? How about go 90 minutes? Okay, you don't have to sit there and say, we're going to ask Joey Galloway who he thinks is this, and then he's going to get an apple or a grade for what he did, and all this stupid. They spend 60% of their time doing skits that you wouldn't do in the 8th grade. Okay, instead of talking about the game and doing this and not nearly enough for it to be a college football final show. If you want to call it you want to do Jimmy Fallon, go do Jimmy Fallon somewhere. I don't care. But then you watch the SEC wrap-up show, and it's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's an hour of highlights. And
the ACC one is good too.
They're all good, but that schlock is why ESPN sucks half the time. They do the same schlocky crap on Sports Center half the time. You can't get it. You don't get a highlight. You don't get a in-depth. You don't get anything about it. You get 2 highlights and then some BS. Oh, that some comedy skit writer writes their stuff for them. It's annoying, and I don't watch it very often. But I was home this weekend, no traveling for football games, none of that stuff. I was home Friday through Sunday, and I'm like, this is garbage. It's straight up garbage. Nothing good about it. The NBC game, the pregame and post games kind of thing that they do is good.
Yeah.
They don't do stuff. They got a lot of people involved. It's a lot of, but it's a really good show. It's not about being schlocky. It's about giving you highlights. It's about talking about the next game, about injuries, but all things that are relevant. Not if Matt Barry's going to do a good knock joke at the end of the thing, or or during the helmet sticker thing. They've turned that into a joke too.
Yeah,
it's stupid. So it's not. I'm not going to burn the house down over it, but it bugs me. It just bugs me. I'm like, I can't watch.
That's the name of the segment, my friend. What's bugging you?
That's it.
All right. Well, that'll do it for episode 10 of the 941 Sports Zone. Again, Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, our sponsor. The Mighty Dog's been vocal throughout the program. 941-251-4297.
Feed the Mighty Dog.
Yeah. We look forward to another week. Oh, we didn't even bring this up. Let's real quick. World Series 1-1. The Blue Jays got into the pen in game 1, and we see where the Dodgers' weakness is. If the Blue Jays can get into the pen, this could be a long series.
I will say this. I don't think it's going to go it's not going to be 5. It's going to go 6 or 7.
All right.
And it's going to be a situation where the Blue Jays have got to get Ohtani, so they got to beat him somewhere.
Yes.
Either as a pitcher or as a hitter. At some point in time, got to treat him like Barry Bonds and potentially walk him in any and all situation. I know he's lead off most of the time, but he's got to be walked. You can't give him a chance to put momentum in the Dodgers, and you got to get him to play to pitch and get him where he's not dominant. It's hard to do. If he's dominant, he's dominant. But beating Ohtani beats the Dodgers in my opinion, and that's got to be their focus. Don't let him beat us. 4 walks. Give him 4 walks.
And he's pitching game 4, by the way, Tuesday night. So interesting matchup in game 3. Tyler Glasnow, former Ray, up against Max Scherzer, former everybody. So it should be interesting. Interesting matchup, and that would be, and it's interesting because this is strategic, because if there is a game 7, these are likely to be your starters.
Right. I think tonight's matchup is very good, but the Blue Jays have to win 3 or 4. They have to, or both. They have to win one of them though. If they don't, and they're going into game 5 with it on the line, maybe they pull it off, but I don't think they beat them 3 games in a row. It's not going to happen.
I don't think so either. As a matter of fact, I like Toronto tonight. I really
Which
do.
Makes these 2 next games must watch if you're a baseball fan.
Absolutely. All right, that'll do it for the 941 Sports Zone. We're back at you again next week. We've been doing these live in the mid-afternoon. We did have a little technical snafu, so we're a little later than we thought, but generally right around 3:30 or 4 o'clock, just log on to Facebook or YouTube. We put a link on there.
I think if we think of this time frame, more people are probably more likely to watch it live. So that's good. We'll see what we can do about it.
Yeah, we've had a few viewers today, so I certainly appreciate it. Appreciate my daughter for listening. She's been a staunch supporter, and she has been chatting with us, including calling out the Mighty Dog. So there you go.
There you go.
All right. Till next week, for John Vandy Believer Masoni, who's riding
I'll be something else
Commodores again.
I'll be hungover John Masoni next week.
Oh, no question about it. Enjoy your time in Jacksonville, my friend.
I will. Definitely will.
I'm Rich Spitzpedaleri, and until next week, so long, everybody.
See ya.